Hey, it's Jay again from Gem Toy. Just wanted to talk to you about going with the flow. Now, when you're making your original art, you got to make sure that you're thinking about gravity. When you cast resin toys, you're casting liquid resin into a mold. Liquid can only go where gravity takes it. So you have to think about gravity in your artwork. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Here, check it out. Here on page 10 of how to make resin toys, I have this illustration. You can see like this little gray guy. And you can see this guy with his arms up. He'll cast okay because once his mold is upside down, everything flows. But the guy with his arms down at his side, those will create bubbles. I'll explain what I mean. Here, check it out. You can see that if you have a mold, this is where you're going to be pouring the resin into the mold. This is the hole. So this glove mold will take resin, and the resin will flow into these arms. Easy, because gravity will bring them into these arms. But these arms that are down by the character's sides go against gravity. So when the resin pours in, the resin will fill up here, catch air, and then it won't be able to go any further. The liquid will fill this, and then there'll be a bubble here. So somehow we have to release the air here. So you could either run a channel or a vent, or even a hole with a straw type shape or something, so that the resin can go up into the vent hole, and then your air bubble will be in the vent, not in your final art. So creating these sorts of shapes require vents, and that's a little bit more complicated than what you might want to do your very first casting. So I suggest making a character that goes with the flow, meaning that if it's upside down, everything goes with gravity. So you can just turn your artwork upside down and see if it has flow and that nothing is turning backwards against gravity in your design. Here we have several toys. Some are mine, some are other people's. But you can see this body, her arms go up. So when she's being cast, she gets poured through the base here. And then her arms, of course, fill up with resin because they're going downhill. Everything is downhill with this design. So this is very easy to cast. I cast the head separate, and it just goes on. And then I have a bug girl, my very own bug girl. Very simple shapes, easy to cast because it goes with the flow. Even commercial toys, this marble monster, or monster marble, or whatever he is, you can see that his arms are going up, so when he's cast, everything goes with the flow. Nothing's against gravity with this commercial toy here. So he's good to go. These little blobs, these lumps, very simple shape. Once it's upside down, you can see how everything flows. Very easy. This is a commercially produced toy from Japan. It's one of my favorite examples of making a lump, because the arms don't leave the shape too far. See how the body and the arms are really well connected. They're not extended too much. The tail extends, but when he's upside down, even his chin is slightly up. So you can see when he's upside down, he pours from his butt. Even his feet are slightly angled, so when you have him down, you'll notice that there's shadow underneath his feet, that his feet don't touch the ground. Everything is pointing upwards. Even his chin is pointing upwards. And so he casts so well. Everything flows right into the mold, no problem. Here's some toys by Paul Kaiju. They're clear, hard to see, but they just cast so well because the arms are slightly up. So when they're upside down being cast, everything flows into these things. There's a Salamander Joe. little biter. So all these shapes they cast really easily. Now I want to show you a couple that had problems. Like for instance, Pivnik here. Pivnik's chin goes against gravity. His chin tends to get bubbles. See that air bubble right there? In the resin? The resin has that big bubble. That's because his chin goes up. So when I designed this guy, I wasn't too aware of the flow. This is one of my first pieces. And so I have to shake this mold to get resin into the chin. So I can't just pour into this mold. This mold I have to pour it in and then kind of shake it around, and then the resin fills in that air bubble by agitating and shaking it around. Now here you have this like some pig here, this war pig. Notice how his chin goes up. Everything basically tilts slightly up, so he's upside down being cast through here. Everything is kind of pointing downward. His gun is slightly going that way, his chin is going that way, his ears are going that way. So he's easy to cast. The resin goes right into place. Now here's Spanky Stokes' Stroll character. Notice that the arms go down. When they cast this guy, they have to have extended little vents that bring resin to the arms, because the arms go against gravity. So this toy in the mold probably has like little sticks that are cut off that connect from here to here to create like a vent. And so when you want characters to have their arms down by the sides, you just have to extend it so that the plastic can get here. So a lot of times they'll have a vent cut from the pore channel down into here. So that makes it a much more complex shape, having the arms down like that just to get a casting. Here you can see in the How to Make Resin Toys book on page 27, you can see the dotted lines from the arms. So let's say like you had a resin toy and your character's arms are down by the side. So if your character's arms are down by the side like this, your mold, let's say like you're casting through the bottom of the feet, that's where you're going to be pouring, where that arrow is. The dotted lines from where the hands are, you'd have to create a vent. Now I use little carving tools, so I either make the vent when I'm making the mold initially by just putting clay or Sculpey in and designing the vent right in the piece, or if I neglected to think about the flow, I just use a U-shaped or a V-shaped carving tool and carve right into the silicone rubber and take out where those dotted lines are. So I would actually, and then once those dotted lines are carved out, they're kind of like added pour spouts. You just would pour resin into the feet, and then the resin would lift up to the hands, and because of those carved air channels, it would lift up. Now when it's hard, you just have to cut those little sprues off, so the flashing that they create would have to be cut off with an X-Acto knife. But venting will make it so that you can cast more complex shapes in these, especially block molds. Block molds are easier to carve something out of than a glove mold. So those are just some concepts to think about when you're designing your resin toy Sculpey original. Think about going with the flow if you're going to have any kind of parts that stick out. Everything likes to go up, so if you're going to have arms up over the head are easier to cast than arms down by the side. Things like that. So check it out. The How to Make Resin Toys book is available. You can get it at gemtoy.com in the books section. Thanks for visiting. gemtoy.com